Alright kids, we are back for some more Fire Emblem Heroes, and tomorrow we're going to be getting one of the most long-awaited character releases ever. So, Bruno from way back when. Finally nice to get this artwork, especially in our barracks. Wonder when they're going to do Veronica, too. Like, Day 1 Veronica is still not in the game, and we've had so many alts of Veronica, so I could see them eventually making her like some kind of GHB or Tempest Trial or something. When you consider that we also got Fafnir this year also, and he was another long-awaited one. So they're just knocking them down, ain't they? Just all of these units getting marked off the checklist. Alright, so Bruno, he is actually pretty good. Stat line here, we've got 40 HP, 45 attack, 48 speed, 22 defense, and 30 res. Gives him a 185 BST overall, and he does have a super boon on speed, which is a pretty solid one. So, stat line checks out. He seems pretty good in terms of stat placement, lots of attack and speed, and I mean, we're not going to talk about BST in this video. Normally, this is where I would show off his scoring for Arena, but it's a wash. He doesn't even score as high as Cyril, but he does usher in a new wave of BST for these Tome Cavalry types. So he does at least win in that regard when it comes to the new BST increase we're getting from CYL. Okay, and then his weapon here, Cryptic V Scalf, gets -1 special trigger, and then at the start of player phase or enemy phase, if HP is over 25%, then you grant attack and speed up 6, Anathema, and guaranteed follow-up to unit and allies in 2 spaces. So they gave him a little bit of support there, which is nice. Anathema is, I mean, we've been getting it a lot now, but up until this point, it was actually not that common. There weren't too many units that just gave it to the entire party like this. So it's certainly something we'll take. Then also, if his HP is over 25% at the start of combat, then he gets a bonus to attack and speed equal to 20% of his speed plus 6. Then he also deals damage equal to 20% of his speed in combat, excluding on AoEs. And he can make a follow-up before the foe's next attack, so he's got Desperation. And if the foes initiate on him, then he's got Vantage. So, unconditional Vantage, pretty cool. The support is pretty nice, and then he's got true damage based on speed and true stats based on speed as well. So, as far as GHB weapons goes, this is pretty good. He's in line with the Legacy Xane that we got not too long ago, who I'm actually going to go ahead and compare him to. It is most closely related to him in terms of stat placement. Xane, of course, does have the gimmick of borrowing stats from allies, but if you were to look at Xane just on paper, what his stats look like, it's closest to Bruno in terms of stat placement. And now Xane does have higher BST because he's an infantry type, and now he gets more flowers as well, but Bruno's actually got him beat on attack and speed. If we take a look here, Xane's only got 45 and 48 for attack and speed. Bruno's got 46 and 49. So he does win in that regard. Now, defense is where things get a little wonky with Xane, because those are the most likely stats that he's going to snag from allies. But on paper, he's got 25 defense and 30 res, and then Bruno's got 23 defense and 31 res. So Xane is a little better in that regard. Well, a little bit better in defense, but Bruno does actually have 1 extra point of res. Not much to really mention. And then HP is a wash. Xane's got a lot of HP because that's really the only stat that his gimmick wants him to have. So they went all in with his HP. They gave him a lot more than usual, which unfortunately Bruno's not really going to be able to compete with. But for the most part, I mean, you're just going to focus on his attack and speed primarily. So the fact that he's got Xane beat, and Xane was a pretty good mage nuker as far as GHBs go, I think Bruno actually has a little bit of a role for himself going on here. So all that stuff is very nice. And then his inheritable skills, we've got Dragon Fang, we got Poison Strike 3, and then Red Feud. It's pretty cool that we're starting to get feud skills now added to the GHB and presumably Tempest Trial pool in the future. So we'll certainly take those, even though we don't have a gold border for these yet. But when we do, I'm sure they're actually going to be pretty good. So it is nice to see that there. Okay, now let's go ahead and take a look at the builds. So we're starting things off with this build over here. This is probably going to be the overall build that you may want to go for. And before you say anything, yes, it's ripped pretty much straight from the Sharena that just came out on the Brave banner. We're taking Magic Light, Attack Speed Aria, and Speed and Res Shackle all from her. I mean, what do you want me to say, man? These skills are ideal for him. Magic Light is basically just Luna, except it also nullifies the enemy's pierceable DR. So we'll definitely take that. Then Attack and Speed Aria is giving him Attack and Speed plus... Hold on. It just came out. Let me just make sure I'm getting my facts right here. So Attack and Speed Aria, if you're in 3 spaces of an ally, then you get a bonus to Attack and Speed equal to your max cooldown count plus 7. So in this case, he's got -1 special trigger. So Magic Light is going to be a 2-hit special, and then that would be 2 plus 7 for a total of 9 points. If you wanted to, you could actually give him a higher cost special like Miracle, and that would be 4 hits, and then that would be 4 plus 7. But it's a very minor amount of points to be getting, considering that you'd rather just have the damaging special in most cases. So we've got that going on, and then also when you trigger your special, then you're getting a further damage boost based on your special cooldown count times X. If you have a Brave Attack, X is 3, otherwise X is 5, so it scales a little bit lower if you have a Brave Attack, but Bruno doesn't have a Brave Attack, so he's going to get the full 5, and that would be 5 times 2 for plus 10 damage. So in total, plus 19 damage out of this A skill, which is pretty juicy. We'll certainly take that. That actually beats out on Sly Swift Sparrow, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, this seems like a pretty good overall A skill if you're going for these Tome Cavalry types, who are the units that are able to inherit Attack Speed Aria. Then we've got Speed and Res Shackle, which, I mean, you could try Havoc and Discord on a unit with 35 res. It wouldn't be as ideal, because units that want to run those skills are typically going to have like 40 plus res. But he can't inherit those anyway. They're not available to cavalry types. So Speed and Res Shackle is the next best thing, and it's actually in some ways better. You're doing a lot of debuffs to the enemy's speed and res, and then you're also getting a lot of bonus damage. Let's just quickly pull that up as well, too, because it just came out. Okay, so at the start of turn or after you act, no res check revolved, or no res check required. You're doing Speed Shackle and Res Shackle, which are 2 brand new status effects on the nearest foe, and then foes in 2 spaces of them. Then you inflict Speed and Res -4, and then you do bonus damage based on the number of penalty effects active on the foe times 2, plus 7 with a max of 15. So you would need 4 total penalties to get the max here, and he's already doing Speed Shackle and Res Shackle. So 2 more and you're Gucci, which would probably be stuff like Discord and Sabotage, which are increasingly common nowadays. So that would be a total of max 15 minus on the enemies. And then Speed and Res Shackle debuff their stats too. So that would be even further debuffs that you're doing to the enemies. So this turns out to be a really stat point heavy skill here, where you're getting a lot of stat drops on the enemies. So yeah, this seems like it's going to be a really nice debuffing B skill from now on. Then we got Odd Defense Wave here. That gives him tempo, and then it also gives him +6 defense at the start of turn and to allies in 2 spaces. Just a nice little way to get a little bit more support out of him, and then also give him tempo, which could be valuable for nullifying guard and getting to his specials better. Far Trace Echo, so we can actually get Kanto on this guy. And when you combo Far Trace with Kanto Rem, and then you've got the Lin Ring, and you're attacking from a standstill, then you can really move very far with your Kanto, which is nice. And then Blade Session, just get the most DPS out of him. So this is the first build. This is the second build. This one would be more so geared towards Aether Raid's offense, where you want to just use him more as a supporter and get some positioning antics. So you got reposition here. You want to go ahead and pop that to get some better position. And then Shadow Smite, you can just smite somebody up onto a presumably like Bolt Trap or Gravity Trap or something like that. Maybe if they even have enough HP, you could smite them onto the Hex Trap and they don't have to worry about that. So yes, Smite plus Reposition combo, just very good for Aether Raid's offense. The Lin Ring, once again, with Far Trace Echo, so he can attack from a standstill, and then Kanto a mile away. And with Shadow Smite, that should work out pretty handily. Also, Attack Res Detect lets him debuff the enemies with exposure and some attack and res drops. And then it also debuffs enemies on the map that have exposure status on them. So, overall, pretty nice support skill. And then Flared Sparrow, of course, sets up the fire tiles, which are pretty good to have for Aether Raid's offense. So, self-explanatory build. Just very highly focused around support and possibly Aether Raid's offense. And then I had to show a build like this. So, we've got a defensive-oriented build here, which... this is going to work best if you can get magic far save on him from the new Ectordeer on the Brave banner. So you want his visible res to be pretty good. Crystalline Water is going to help you out with that. So he's going to be more likely to have the highest res on the team and soak up Ectordeer's magic save support. Or you could just do ally support with him too if you want. That's another option. But we want to stack res here, so Ice Wall is going to have a better chance to proc the true damage effect, or true damage reduction effect. Fatal Smoke, so he can nullify the enemy's miracle and have a better shot to just one-shot enemies. Like, for example, if he gets attacked on by Summer Celica, and he's got Vantage and he's got Magic Far Save, he can swoop in and then clap her with an Ice Wall, delete her miracle, and possibly just knock her out right on the spot. So that would be what you want to go for there. Attack and Res Detect once again for more debuff potential. And then we got Mystic Boost here, so he could possibly nullify enemy Hexblade. His defense is trash, especially if you're going to run Crystalline Water. So not really ideal for a tank, but if you have another way to nullify enemy Hexblade effects, then you could go for a different seal, actually. Like, let's say you just want overall stats, you would go for maybe Attack and Res Form, which would give him overall the most amount of attack and res. Or if you want to raise his visible stats even more, you could just go for Still Water again. Yeah, so this would raise his visible res by another 5, giving him even more of a chance to win the res check against any allies that may be on the team, and make sure that he's got a better chance to just soak up the or the magic far save from Ectordeer. Yeah, so this would be a build you would want to use if you want to actually take advantage of the Vantage effect that he's got. He's got Vantage and Desperation, but, I mean, most of the offensive builds are going to take full advantage of the Desperation portion, but it is cool that he's got Vantage, so I wanted to at least try something out with it. And over here, we just have some extra skills that are certainly possible options for him. Sly Swift Sparrow is, if you don't have access to attack speed Aria, then this would be the next best thing. Speed and Res Far Resound is an option. If you don't want to give him Far Trace Echo, then you'd go ahead and give him this, and it's basically just Resonance combined with Speed and Res Far Trace. So that's pretty solid there, and then just an alternate option for the Shadow skill. If you don't want to go for Shadow Smite, then Shadow Shift is just perfectly fine as well. And Sly Echo, too. That's another possible Echo skill for him. You could try Lull Echo as well, but it's getting more increasingly common that allies have some kind of support to neutralize the enemy's bonuses. So Lull Echo, while it does that, I feel you're better off just outsourcing that effect, neutralizing enemy bonuses from elsewhere. So just go for DPS, and Sly Echo is definitely got you covered there. So yeah, he seems really good, actually. He seems definitely worthwhile as a merge project, mainly just for his offensive potential and maybe possible Vantage shenanigans if you want to go for that. But yeah, it's really awesome to finally get this guy in the game, and the fact that they actually made him pretty good is even more beneficial to us. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Let me know if you guys are going to be building Bruno yourself, and I will catch y'all again on the flip side.